Hello and welcome to this video presentation on SD branch and cloud provisioning with the OV Assistant. Over the course of this video, we will look at the steps needed to quickly and easily deploy an additional site or office extension using OmniVista Cirrus, Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise's cloud-based network management system, along with the OV Assistant, ALE's mobile app which speeds up the deployment of network equipment. Traditionally, customers would use connections that were often established by service providers that then lease their WAN to businesses, schools, governments, or the public. Data would move between a customer's site via the service provider's network, and the service provider would manage this portion. Dedicated equipment would be installed on each site, allowing the interconnection to be established. It is often expensive and the customer has no real control over the WAN. In SD branch, with SD standing for software defined, this uses software to control the connectivity, management and services between the sites. Sites can be a permanent branch office, temporary deployments where a cloud-based option will drastically reduce the overall cost, or home office, allowing users to access corporate resources securely. This last option being particularly relevant due to current circumstances. Using a cloud-based management system like OV Cirrus gives customers the ability to deploy additional sites using existing networking equipment, such as remote access points. Connections and data are secured via the latest VPN technologies, and the customer has a full view of all the equipment and users on all sites deployed and managed in this way. What is used for cloud-based deployments? In order to deploy a branch office, or indeed any cloud-based provisioning scenario, we will need the following. OmniVista Cirrus. This cloud-based NMS will manage all of the equipment and users on the different site. Network equipment to be used at the remote site, a switch and an AP. And lastly, we will use the OV Assistant to speed up deployment of the remote equipment. Interconnection of sites can be done either via a RAP or VPN or a dedicated wide area network service provided by an internet service provider. One of the many advantages of using a central cloud-based NMS is that the configuration of the equipment can be done from anywhere with an internet connection. This means that company IT administrators can create the necessary switch or AP group configuration in anticipation of the new equipment arriving on site. Once the equipment has arrived on site, it will need to be plugged in and cabled. We no longer need to send an expensive engineer on site to do this. Either a technician or perhaps a local staff member can easily plug in the power cable and connect an Ethernet cable to a switch port. Regardless, the person on site can use the OV Assistant to register the new equipment. This mobile app, available on iPhone and Android, is used to scan the equipment's barcode and automatically send it to the cloud, where it will be integrated into the OV Cirrus used by the customer. At this point, the engineers back at the main site can then proceed to apply the switch AP group config to the new equipment. And now let's move on to the demo of a switch and AP cloud-based provisioning. Here we are on the OV Cirrus homepage. So let's go to the device catalog page where we will see the managed equipment. This is where we will see new devices. The first step is to scan a switch and access point using the OV Assistant. At the bottom of the screen, You will see the device serial number, the GPS location, and a success message indicating that the device was uploaded to the cloud. Next, let's do the same thing for a stellar access point. Device serial, GPS, and success message can be seen at the bottom of the screen. Refreshing the page will now show that there are 2 additional devices waiting for first contact. In order for the switch to connect to the cloud, it needs to be switched on, rebooted, or a CLI command inputted. This starts the onboarding process. Refreshing the page shows that the switch is now registered. The switch and Cirrus have successfully mounted the VPN connection, and the switch is ready for the next configuration steps. The next step we could do is to set the software version of the switch. By default, the same software version is used for all devices, and by unselecting this option, we can now elect to update to the latest AOS version or keep the existing software. The switch will automatically upgrade to the selected version once it has been onboarded. We need to assign a license to our switch. Cirrus automatically selects the correct license type if available and tells us how long until the next contact is made by the switch. Once assigned, we are reminded that we can use the default pre-provisioning template to download a management configuration to the device. After a few minutes, once the management template has been downloaded to the switch and the switch has made the necessary changes, it will recontact the OV Cirrus to complete the onboarding process. The device status will change to indicate that Cirrus and the switch are communicating, and the status will change again to provisioning, indicating that the onboarding process is proceeding. A few moments later, the status changes to OV Managed, indicating that we have successfully completed the cloud provisioning of the device. Meanwhile, the access point has been powered on and its status has been changed to registered. We need to go through the same steps as for the switch. We could change the software version, but we need to assign a license. Again, Cirrus proposes the correct license type for the device, and we see the next call home time. After a few minutes, the access point and Cirrus have exchanged information, and the onboarding process has started as indicated by the status changed to connected to OV. Once the onboarding of the AP has completed, it will have an empty configuration. So the next step is to configure the new AP. That's done by clicking on Network Access Points. We select the AP and we click on Edit. As you can see, there are multiple options available, but we need basic info. So we click here and we are presented with a page where we can add the new AP to the correct group. I have created a dedicated group called Branch, which already has a branch SSID configured. OV will push the branch AP group configuration to the AP. Now click on Apply, and we see here that the AP has been updated with the new configuration. Now we can test the new wireless LAN by connecting a client. On the wireless client, we see the branch SSID. We have a user called Branch, which uses 802.1x authentication. After inputting the password, we will need to trust the certificate from OV, and after a few seconds, we will have connectivity. As you can see here, we are now surfing the internet. We can go back to OV to see the user's connection in the authentication record. We find this in the UPAM application, authentication, then authentication record. At the top, we see the latest entry corresponding to the branch user. And finally, a couple of words on the OV Assistant. The OV Assistant can be used on both iPhone and Android. To connect the Assistant to the cloud, use an OV Cirrus account. You can scan equipment one by one, meaning the scanning mode will be turned off after detecting a barcode or QR code. Batch scan means that the scanning mode, therefore the camera, stays on and active until the user finishes the scan mode. This just makes it a little easier to scan multiple objects at once without having to keep pressing scan for each one. Scan devices should show a list of the scan devices. That's the end of this video presentation on cloud provisioning with the OV Assistant. Thank you very much for watching.